All right. Good evening and hello to all of you, and welcome to another episode of our Star Wars Out in the Dark campaign. My name is Will. I will be your storyteller tonight. Last we left off, some ruffians had taken it upon themselves to attack Flid and Marcuun in the middle of the street, where unfortunately Marcuun was attacked and a mention was made of him having had something that belonged to the leader of the Junkrats, who calls himself Mao Leg Thun, or Mighty Mao for short. Of the three of them, one was left alive. The other two were brutally murdered for even looking at any friends that this group has made the wrong way. And though Rarik is the smartest or the luckiest of the three, he gave them some information about Mao and the Junkrats and what they plan to do here on Bespin. After some situation, some cleaning up, they took Marcuun to the nearest hospital campus, where, while waiting, the members of the group, particularly Silas Winchester, noticed that somebody was brought in being hurt, who turned out to be Yandro. And as he tried to make his way, as he was taken further into the hospital for surgery and emergency procedures, the sounds of blaster fire and explosions were heard. The building that they were in had been put under lockdown, and this is where Flid suddenly snapped and became John Rambo, as he communed with the spirit of John McClane and threw himself into the air vent to try and get over a blast door, while Silas Winchester and Dr. Shakti went around, introduced themselves to a Republic trooper who was just doing his job, and they unfortunately found that Yandro had been killed in whatever altercation had landed in the hospital. After opening the doors and unsealing this part of the hospital, Flid and Dr. Shakti made their way over to the records room to find out what exactly was going on and to see if they could find out who was responsible for Yandro's death, while Silas sat with Marcuun after his procedure and was told that he should be fine to leave within the next couple of days, but that he should get some rest. It is at this point that Flid and Dr. Shakti find out that they have become the target of a hacker calling himself Valthic. And in the same time, Marcuun has revealed his true past to Silas, revealing that he is actually named Dolvin and that he came up with Mao while they were becoming less than savory characters, and Marcuun had a change of heart. But he also gave Silas an identity disc to kind of give him control over a ship that has been stowed away for some time, where supposedly a treasure of some renown has been stowed away. And this is where we're picking up our story with 3 of our crew members.
I need to point out something, sir.
Sure.
Oh,
I was told that a bunch of Republic troopers were bought off and were bad guys, and
by
a bunch of
Marcuun.
Republic
By
troopers.
Marcuun?
Well, no, yeah, Malcoon mentioned it, but it was told to us before by the other sergeant. She said that that some of the troopers are under the payroll of these people.
This is true.
So he was blocking my way. I went into there, and there was nobody else in there. Meaning that I believe that those troopers. This is what Silas is thinking. Those troopers are the ones that are working for these people, and they killed the android. That's where I thought. And this guy, I didn't kill this guy. I just blew up his gun.
This is true.
I just kind of maimed him.
Yeah. You sent shrapnel of his gun into his chest. Sure, you didn't kill him. Yeah.
Hey, Iron Man survived.
It's not the it's not the fall that kills you. It's the sudden stop at the end. So.
No,
Oh my God,
be
that's
that
a
type
great-
of session.
That's
Yeah.
a great line for the next
When he built
episode.
this in the cave.
It's not the fall that hurts you. It's the stop at the end.
Yeah. So we're gonna start with the Lothcat in the room as Dr. Shakti is sitting over you, looking over your wounds, Flid. There's a kind of concern on their face as they're rifling through the small satchel that they kind of have been bringing along with them, because you guys have been getting into scrapes more and more frequently. When you see the door to the records room kind of blow off its sliding track, all of the hollow projections in the records room kind of start to filter into what looks to be one giant unblinking eye. And as the static kind of shifts scenes from just showing you one eye individually into becoming one large shared eye, you can see that the Republic symbol kind of flickers in and out of each of these statics, but it's upside down. And as it becomes this one eyeball, there's a moment where you just hear all of the equipment around you just kind of start to hum, and then just everything goes black, and you hear Dr. Shakti start to kind of freak out. It's the first time you've heard them kind of really in this predicament, in this kind of tone of voice. And as that happens, you hear an announcement over the loudspeaker. Ladies and gentlemen, the medical campus is on lockdown. I repeat, the medical campus is on lockdown. We apologize for any inconvenience this may cause. Again, the medical campus is on lockdown. And as that happens, the roof of this whole part of the disc on Bespin starts to slide open, and you can see the night sky above, and it kind of gives you some light to kind of see what's happening. And as it does, as this kind of column of light starts to wash over you and extend outward, and your eyes blink hard to adjust, you can see that you are surrounded by these troopers in pitch black armor, and you see that they've already subdued and are carrying off Dr. Silas Shakti.
What?
Whoa, what?
And as
What?
and as one of them sees that
Yeah.
you've made eye contact with the whole situation, he turns and just hits you with the butt of his gun, and everything goes dark for a moment. Inside the hospital campus, we see Marcuun on the floor, or the Moncal, formerly known as Marcuun, on the floor. He kind of pushes himself up onto his knees, holding his side where he got stabbed, and he looks up at you. He's just like, "I'm real sorry. I guess they were right about me being stuck on bed duty."
I mean, the doctor said you needed at least an hour. I don't mind waiting with you.
Yeah, yeah. And you see him. He tries.
And I help him. I
Yeah,
grab him.
he starts to pull himself up onto his feet, and as that happens, you hear the entire building just go dark. All of the electronics fail simultaneously, and in the darkness, you hear very professional, very efficient footfalls. These are trained soldiers that you hear down the hall, and you can hear the four kind of gentle taps against the door to the Marcuun's room, and almost instinctively, there's a moment where you throw yourself and Marcuun under his bed, just as the four blasts bring down the door, and you see in the darkness, as the roof is retracting from the campus, and you can see the cloud cars kind of starting to land. There are about 4 soldiers in black armor, just almost like that Vanton black that eats up light. And they, at first, you're not sure if you're seeing what you're seeing, but then as the light kind of filters in through the window, they're kind of outlined, and they grab you, hold you off to the side, and they start dragging Marcuun away. And while all of this is happening,
okay,
in a remote part of the starports, there is a broken down, old, converted mining vessel called the Neverwhere. And across from it is what used to belong to a Moncal Jedi, a small Aether Sprite. And sitting in the Aether Sprite seat is an even smaller kind of cluster of crystals on a metallic plate, half dome, like quarter dome plate. And this is where we find Eedee. No eyes, no ears, no hands or feet to speak of. Just this stoic cluster of crystals.
I'm pure vibes, baby.
And as you're lying there, left alone after receiving a very healthy and very caring amount of support and emotions of understanding from Dr. Shakti, your mind starts to trace back to the time when you were training on Coruscant. You can see some of the other students. You're imagining them, trying to remember what they look like in your mind's eye, since you no longer have ocular cavities or hollow recorders to kind of show you the memories themselves. And you can see the old Coin Knight Jedi Master of yours, Jethrak Kiln, kind of standing in front of you, showing you how you should be holding your lightsaber for the first form. And as you kind of, in your brashness of youth, start to flourish, you see him finally kind of not lose his temper, but you've kind of feel like a dam has broken. And it's the first time out of maybe a half dozen that you remember him reaching into his robes for a small disc that you've come to understand was his kind of way of punishing you. And the disc did nothing to anyone with flesh and blood coursing through them. Because it was an electromagnetic pulse, localized, maybe at most 10 meters of a diameter. But sure enough, anytime that you would act out or that he felt that you weren't understanding his teaching, which was a lot, but never to the point where he was angry with you. He was just kind of, you always felt his frustration and you never knew how to deal with it. And once he learned about this electromagnetic pulse, it kind of was his go-to, parenting technique to deal with you. It was his timeout kind of thing. And as you remember this first pulse and what that did to you, you remember the feeling of you reaching out and kind of pulling on whatever thread of force you could to help you through this. But you remember, even without the droid's audible recorders, you could hear him kind of enjoying the moment. And without the droid's ocular cavities, you started to kind of see what he was. Excuse me. How he stood over you, how he started to prostrate a lesson, to kind of proselytize a lesson to you that I don't think he ever knew that you never heard. Or that he imagined you heard in some way, shape, or form. And although it wasn't a power that you exhibited frequently around him, you did learn how to reach out in moments like this. And it got calmer and calmer. And soon enough, the punishment wasn't terrifying anymore. You learn to kind of reach out with the force and pull your consciousness away from the crystal. And you kind of learned to see through the force, to hear through the force, to kind of pick up the emotions people were having, the vibes that were being put down. You learn to pick up. And it is at this point that the same thing starts to happen again. You start to reach back and you start to see events unfolding that you have no control over. You can see that there is a massive droid body kind of standing over you, and you can feel the furnace of just hate and anger inside of this modified, what looks to be a Trade Federation destroyer droid. But you can also see that up on the ledge is Silas, and you can see him shooting at these other Droid Federation battle droids, at the Trade Federation battle droids that are kind of coming down. You can see that Flid is rummaging through a collection of different pieces of computer parts and things like that. You can see that Dr. Shakti is also standing with you, and simultaneously, both of you can see, you can feel the ripple in the force as both of you kind of reach out, and almost in unity, there's a moment where you see both green blades just ignite. And then the vision shifts, and you start to see that whole moment when you were telekinetically pushed away to protect yourself, for your master to protect you, as the blast kind of tore apart the ship when you were forced into hibernation, into derelict space debris, basically. You start to see these images of these black Republic troopers just kind of spreading out like shadow fingers wrapping around this, what looks to be hospital campus. And then your vision swirls one last time, and you see this baker's dozen of robed figures coming. They're getting closer. You can feel them, but at the same time you can't feel them. Something is blocking you. There's a coldness that swirls around them, but there's warm and inviting thoughts that is kind of tracing in each one of them. It is such an oxymoron and such a juxtaposition for you to kind of try to figure out what's really going on. And that's when you see them approach the Aether Sprite. There's one robed figure that is surrounded by 6 others, and there's 6 behind them that are coming with a small kind of metallic box on a repulsor sled. And as you see them approach, you also hear the tap on the window. At this point, the senses kind of start to center themselves on this moment. You know that you might have seen something in the past, you might have seen something in the future, but this is now. This is happening right now. And as the cockpit is pulled open, you can feel hands reach down and pick up this crystal, this version of you that isn't you right now. And as almost like it's rehearsed, you see the figure in the center and the 6 figures kind of guarding the repulsor sled simultaneously pull their hoods back. And you can see that it is the Mune.
I'm being kidnapped by Mune.
That has been kind of taking an interest in your group since your arrival on Bespin. And you see that the ones that have pulled you out of the Aether Sprite kind of present you to the central one, and it nods. And there's a moment where it touches you, like it actually touches the crystals. And it feels strange to be touched.
Oh, I don't like this. This is uncomfortable.
Touching.
Yeah, it feels strange to be touched, and there wasn't any consent to it.
Can I do affect mind without being able to talk?
No, because you have to.
Even with him touching me?
Yeah, you have to.
Listen, right now you're a gift shop, like souvenir.
Yeah, I'm just a tchotchke right now.
Yeah. But as your vision kind of starts to swirl around this image, in an anxiety-driven kind of like just like a bird trying to figure out its new cage. You see that the ones carrying this package bend down and they open it, and as it starts to fold out and its sides start to open, and the inner contents start to become visible to you. You notice that it is a Droid Federation battle droid, and as it starts to kind of activate and step out of this solitary confinement housing unit, and you see that it is not a typical battle droid. There are markings, and there is a designation that you've only seen in the records. But it looks like this was part of the battalion of dignitary bodyguard droids that had been deployed on Ossus. And as it stands up to its full height and it steps over to the figure in the center of this group touching you, you see that he steps aside, and there's a sensation of it trying to reassure you. You don't feel it in the Force. There's no connection there. You don't sense that he is connected to the Force in any way, but you can feel him trying to be reassuring to you. He hasn't said anything. You haven't heard him say anything. You haven't heard anyone of them say anything. Everything's kind of like a silent communication between them. And the two that presented you install you into this droid body, as it has been formatted to house the very dimensions of your crystalline current shape and size. And with a satisfying click, the Force vision that you've experienced dissipates as the actual ocular cavities turn on, the audible receptors turn on, and the adjustment of the head swivel to your kind of personal desire matches up. And you hear it now for the first time in a very calm voice. You just hear, "I hope it is a good fit for you. The second I saw you, I knew this was meant for you."
That's when you say Roger, Roger. God damn.
I'm trying to get the voice right in my head without having to go into it.
Yeah.
I can only do the voice. Roger, Roger. Thank you very much.
Yep.
This,
Or you can talk normal.
What is this? No, fuck that. Me? We're doing the battle droid voice.
Yeah. This is why I gave him a battle droid.
You could. Why couldn't you give him like a gonk droid or something?
I wanted to, but I felt like
battle
I
droid,
jumped.
really?
Yeah.
No, the gonk one.
So-
The four-legged, the two-legged
What
little.
is this gesture?
Brandon, you will notice if you go into your characters
Yeah.
that there's a new character for you.
Wow.
Oh.
Does he look, Brandon?
What happens when you take a week off, Brandon? See what happens?
God, don't hang out with your girlfriends.
I hope Pippin was worth it.
Percussion.
I hope your new droid's named Pippin.
not.
Nah, I should have named him Pippin.
It's you. It's you. I don't have to say it out loud. You can change it right now.
Yeah. I mean, that's a serial number that comes up when you activate. And you start to acclimate yourself to all the skills that this droid has access to. I have taken the liberty of adding whatever points you had spread in to whatever its base stats were. So you'll see that some are higher, some are lower.
Okay. So like, oh my god. My brawling skyrocketed.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Now you don't need a lightsaber. You can actually do something with
Yeah,
just your
man.
fist.
I got Blaster 3.
Thank you, Jesus.
Actually, yeah, sorry. It should be 5. I changed it.
That was a mistake.
Blaster 5. There you go. There you go. Now that gun that I gave you is going to go into use.
So so this one also has the infrared and the magnetic feet.
It does.
Oh
It does.
my god.
It does. It does have the speech sound system, the sensors, arms and legs, and a head. The armor you'll see is military grade this time,
Mhm.
but you have lost a couple of things.
Like my pockets.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep. I lost.
And you
my
have a
cool-
weakness to Gungan.
I lost my cool
Yeah.
pockets and my fucking lightsaber.
Yeah.
What lightsaber?
The one with no kyber crystal.
I mean, it is something that you can add later. There's plenty of room to pad out the legs, the thighs on this droid.
Roger, Roger. What is this gesture? If you do not mind my asking.
Bring back the old body! Bring back the old.
You see one of
I don't know
the
what word.
one of the other ones that still has its hood up. You see him hold out a small disc that is a hollow projection of what looks to be a system that's very recognizable to you. And you hear him. I had heard tales of creatures like you. It is small pleasure to actually see you in person. And you see him start to touch the crystal again.
Me?
Yeah.
I would very much like if you did not touch me. Thank you very much.
He pulls his hand back slowly. Yeah, it meant no disrespect. It's simple gesture. I give you something, I expect something given back. Do you not like this body? I can remove you if he's so inclined.
Shoot him, Brandon. Save the galaxy.
The body is a very kind gesture. However, I would just like to understand your prerogative before caressing my true self. Thank you. I mean no disrespect to your culture, as long as you are also willing to respect mine own. Roger.
I understand. Please take for what is called test drive. Yes, I come back tomorrow and see if you are happy with choice you've made.
I would like to know what you require of me so I can further process this negotiation or understanding.
He smiles, and as he does, you see the rest of them kind of smile, but it's not like everything else. It isn't simultaneous. Like, it is almost like dominoes. Like, one will smile, then two will smile together, then another one will smile on his own. But they always match the intensity of his smile. And he just looks at you. He's like, I only wish to talk to you, to hear about your story, to know who and what you are. Your race is little known. I would like to change that.
As it currently stands, my race chooses not to be a part of the larger picture. However, this holodisc is my home. Yes.
The hollow projection is a projection of the system. Yes. And as
I would
you
very much like to know where you got this star chart from.
This I got from company that I oppose, and you see he nods at the holder of the disc, and it starts to zoom in on the world, and as it does, you can see what looks to be a bunch of mining ships in
I'm gonna
orbit,
cry. No, stop. I'm gonna cry.
just sitting in orbit. And as it zooms past them, you can see that there are large six-legged behemoths of just drilling machines that are quietly kind of stomping over to entire forests of your kind and just cutting up entire trees of your people into like a little kind of what's it called souvenir like shaped and sized crystals. I think it's time that your people understood where they sit in the grand scheme of things. But if you are adamant about this choice you have made, I can have my people repair your older body.
Well, hold on now. Can I? God, fuck. Would it be investigation to see if he's just lying to my face?
Sure. Roll it. 6. That's a good roll. He sounds like he's sincere. He is not, like, the second he talks about this whole situation, his smile vanishes. There's a concerned look on his face. But you're not sure if it's just because of him kind of losing out on whatever business deal you two could be in the process of building, or if it is just because of whatever's happening on your planet.
What is it that you are proposing in the grand scheme of things outside of understanding my species?
He motions, and the other cloaked figure turns off the hollow projection. It's like, I would like to tell your story in such a way that they understand that doing this on your planet is not for business. It is genocide. Or have you thrown away the past to accept your current position? You are far from home.
I was removed from my home in order to be a subject of the stars and bring back knowledge.
This too is what I would like to do. To bring back knowledge of your people.
However, there will be no home to return to if this opposing company continues to destroy those that I call one.
It is one of the saddest things that I have seen recently. Would you like this drawn up in a legal document? This can be done for you.
The proposing of the stopping of the mining.
Oh no, the exchange of this body for your history, your story.
My story is not one that would commonly be shared by my people.
Oh,
For I am... I kind of turn... I am a Jedi.
he smiles again, and this time all of them smile simultaneously. And he's like, before I was just interested in knowing who you were. Now I must know who you were. This is such a valuable story that needs to be told. Do you not agree?
For the sake of knowledge and of my home, there is nothing that I will not do.
He nods, and you hear him. It is good. Let me bring my apprentice so that he may see what it is to draw up a contract on the spot. Sheev, please, this way. And you see another pair of identical looking Mune kind of step around the corner and enter the starport with a small child who looks to be maybe about 8 or 9 years old. Just a full head of brown, kind of walnut hair, wild and kind of curly. Just these bright brown eyes, and just this excited look on his face as he comes over. And one of the other ones kind of sets up a telescoping kind of stool that he sits on, and it raises him to the level of like where this paperwork is about to be drawn up for you. And we go back to Flid. There's a grogginess to you, but you can feel that there's a steady stream of water just kind of hitting the back of your head and sliding off in multiple directions. You are seated. It feels like you're bound. There's the sensation of ropes running up and down and under your armpits. Your wrists and your elbows feel like they're bound as well. The knees and the ankles. Everything feels like it kind of stretches into a point somewhere behind the seat that you're in.
So Shakti, look around to see.
There's darkness. The room, it's pitch black except for the small, kind of clawed slivers of light that come from this barred door. There's no technology where you are. That's the first thing that frightens you. Everything here looks analog. And that's when you hear, nah, that's not my name. Do you still remember your name?
Yes, I do. Who
That's
are you? And I look.
That's a nice luxury.
I use my enhanced senses. So
Okay. Yeah.
I
You
should
can
be able to see.
you can kind of adjust using a little bit of light and turning your head in the direction of where you hear this voice coming from. Go ahead and roll your.
There.
Do you know what you got to roll?
Yeah, it's just froze on me. So
Oh, I gotcha. Yeah, let me roll it for you then. Oh, you got it. 18.
I got it.
Yeah. Okay. Sure enough.
Did it?
Yeah, 18.
Yeah.
Sure enough, you turn around to your left, and there's a bit of heat and pain that kind of flares up as you do, as that's the side where you kind of got cold cocked by the rim of this gun.
We don't need to talk about that.
And you see that there is an older human male who's kind of just like sitting on the floor, legs spread, tattered remains of what was a Republic uniform at some point, maybe. No shoes. The sleeves have been torn off or ripped off. It looks like at one point he might have been a clean-cut member of society, but now it's like one of his eyes is kind of the brow is pulsed outward so that it's pushed the eye down. One of his ears is cauliflowered from what you imagine is just senseless beating. As he talks, you can see that there's teeth missing. But he just kind of like looks at you. And he's like, yeah, I don't have a name anymore.
What do you mean you don't have a name anymore?
I don't remember my name.
Do you know where we're at? Where are we? Is there anybody else in here? And I look to see if I see anybody else.
With your 18, there is nobody else in this cell. It looks to be about 25 feet by 30 feet. It looks like the chair that you're on is centered. But yeah, he's sitting over your left-hand side.
Is he tied up as well?
No.
Say you haven't seen my friend or anybody else, right?
No, we don't have friends down here.
Down here is where?
I don't know. It just seems appropriate down here. Like hell.
Have you eaten? Have you eaten? You hungry? I got food, but you might have to like untie me. You do that, please?
You have food? And you see him just kind of
Yeah.
like he darts over to you, and you feel him just sliding his hands all over your body trying to find this food of yours.
Let's not get carried away. Just untie me, and I'll give you the food. I can even cook it up for you.
And you see that he backs up a step, and he's like, "There's no food. There's no food.
I got food. Trust me. I got snacks.
You don't have anything.
Just untie me.
He looks at you. He's like,
Untie me.
"Do you taste good?" And you see him just get close to your ear, like behind you, and you can just feel the hot breath. Yeah, you can feel the hot breath on the back of your ear, and you can feel him start to lick at you. He's like, "You might taste good."
Oh no, I do not. Not taste anything. I make things taste good by seasoning.
Yeah, you smell
The
good.
right amount of salt.
Yeah, I bet you.
No, I don't smell good.
Yeah, I've smelled this before, and you see that he starts to nibble on your big ear.
Oh, stop,
Yeah,
and I wiggle away. Stop.
Yeah.
I headbutt him. Stop.
Make a brawling roll. Let's see what happens. But yeah, you can feel his teeth kind of like it defaults to your strength. but they start to grate
Strength.
on
Okay.
the flesh of your ears, like he's about to really bite down. He's just trying to find a good spot. 7. Let's see if that's enough. Just barely
This
enough.
guy's weak. Come on, man.
Just barely enough. I rolled a 5 on one die, so. Sure enough, you kind of twist your head, and with the same kind of angle, you just bring your forehead down, and you hear the thump. It's not a great hit, but it does kind of like dissuade him, and he starts to back off. I can wait.
There you go.
I can wait.
You just lost your chance, pal. I had snacks. Now you're not getting any.
Yeah,
If I get out of here, you have no idea. I got
You-
friends in high places.
you'll be a snack soon enough.
I got a friend.
And you see him.
You know what? I'm not
You
gonna
see
be no
him start to back up
snack. My
into
friend's got a
that kind of like
friend's a gunslinger.
area.
He doesn't miss.
He kind of backs up into that area where he's no longer in your field of vision.
God,
And you just hear him.
where'd you go?
You just hear him
No, you're there.
mumbling. You just hear him mumbling under his breath. You'll be
You're making a big mistake,
you'll
buddy.
be a snack soon. Just
No,
you
no, I'm
wait.
not. How is a chef gonna be the snack and food of somebody else? This is unheard of.
Gonna make ear jerky out of those big antennas you got.
See, you cannot make ear jerky out of my ears. It's not possible. Trust me. Oh, no, why am I talking to you about this? Please, just untie me. You can have all the ear jerky you want, just not my ears.
There's gonna be so much ear
You want a
jerky.
name? I'll give you a name. You can be little Bobby.
You see as you say that, there's a sudden sound of his the bare feet just kind of like pat 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 on the concrete floor beneath you, and you just feel him just suddenly jolt the chair on the opposite side that he had licked you on. And you just feel his hot breath in the other ear. I don't like that name.
You see, I know you like that name. Keep that name. You have to let me go.
He says
Untie me.
he said I don't like that name. Make a dodge roll, please. Ooh.
Yeah.
Nice.
Dodge.
Yeah. You feel him as he says I don't like that name. You feel him kind of retract away from you, and suddenly you hear a flush of air as he starts to move closer, and you duck your head at the last possible moment. You can feel his cheek kind of brush up against the back of your head as it feels like he was trying to bite down on your ear again.
I'm gonna my head up to clock him in his chin then.
All right, make a brawl roll. Oh. Having been a victim of that maneuver before, you see him kind of like dart back, and you can hear him padding away from you, straight back behind you where you can't see him. I can wait. You have no name soon.
But I have a name, and you're gonna have a blaster fire straight between your eyes, good sir. I guarantee it.
I think what's
My buddy comes and he never misses.
what's your name,
Never
ears? What's your name?
Telling you my name. You don't deserve my name. You don't deserve any snacks. You don't nothing. Just
You see a human in Republic trooper armor kind of walk over and stand at the door, and you see him eating one of the small snacks that you had,
oh man.
and he looks and he's like, "You two getting along? Now maybe come in there and show you how to behave." And he kind of smiles.
This is really weird and awkward. Where's my friend? What have you done to my friend?
The public trooper kind of looks into the cell. Is like, he's back there. That's your friend.
No. That's not my friend. No. My friend. No.
We're friends.
Hey.
You hear from behind you as you hear the pop, 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 pop of the barefoot kind of running back towards you. And you can feel him just kind of wrap himself around you. And his weight just brings the chair falling backwards onto the floor. You can hear him just giggle as you kind of land on top of him with a heavy crunch. But you can feel him kind of try to open his mouth and just try to like he bites down on the top of your head like he's trying to fit the whole of you into his mouth.
What is wrong with this guy? I start wiggling out and try to headbutt him again.
Alright, roll a brawl.
I have to ask Silas for some pointers on how to fight.
Yeah. But sure enough, you hit him and you hear him scream in pain as he kind of like pulls himself away from you. He just points. He's like, he's being rude. He's not letting me eat him. And the guard kind of laughs.
I don't even have any teeth to begin with, alright?
He's like,
Now,
I can see the two
where
of
am
you. I can see the two of you have chosen rehabilitation, and you see him pull out what looks to be just a nightstick, and he opens the door, and he just calls out. He's like, "All right,
Hey, don't come.
over here."
Oh.
And you can hear the very kind of quiet, indignant, supplicating kind of pop, 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 pop of just the bare feet on the concrete. You can see him walk past you with his head down, and he just kind of goes over and kneels in front of this trooper. And it is mentally harrowing for you to see this kind of willingness out of him. And sure enough, you hear that first crack as the stick hits him like right on the side of the head, and he just kind of topples over with a giggle, and as the second kind of crack comes down, you can hear the stick kind of connect with one of his arms, and it starts to sound less like laughing and more like sobbing as
I turn away.
this guy is just getting beaten, and after about like 3 or 4 more good hits, there's just this nothing but this quiet fetal position sobbing from this guy who was like less than 30 seconds ago just willing to eat your ear right off your face. And the guard comes over, and he sees that you're still tied up, and he laughs. He's just like, sometimes you get the easy ones. And he just brings his stick straight down on your chest.
Oh.
And the fire that burns from the impact out just rattles you like you haven't been rattled before. This is not a position that Flid has ever been in. And seeing what just happened to that guy, images of your family start to bubble up in your mind, and the worst case scenario that you can come up with is how could a man forget his own name, and what must he have sacrificed to put him into that position. And as the stick raises itself again, we cut to Jeff, who has a trooper on either side of him, and you see two others are pulling Marcuun away from you.
Okay. So how are they holding me? But they're just pinning me against the wall, like on my chest?
Yeah, they each have, one has their right hand and the other one has their left hand on you, and they're kind of like pushing you against the far wall. You can see that the one that has his left hand on you is the only one that has a rifle drawn, but it is in his right hand. It's pointed straight down. The guy with the left has, with his right hand on you, has let his rifle kind of fall on the over the shoulder sling that he has, but he does have a knife in his left hand.
Okay. So, Will?
Yeah.
It is my one arm.
Oh, it's time.
It's time. My hidden sleeve gun comes out, and I shoot him right in the face.
Saturday night special.
And I look at
Yo, what?
I have a
what?
I have a Saturday night special. I have a hidden gun in my sleeve.
10 games it took for this fucking thing. 10 games.
It's when? Since
I've had it
when?
from the beginning.
Since the beginning, yeah.
Whole time?
Since it's
I
session
got
0.
it in my session 0
Yeah.
episode of the guy I killed.
Same time you got Barnaby, you got that.
Yeah. So I'm blasting
That's
him.
right.
I'm blasting him, and I'm gonna try to. Well, I don't know if I'd have enough time to like draw and shoot at the other one since they're up close.
Yeah.
With the actual blaster.
Yeah. It's just gonna be a dice penalty.
Okay.
So what you're gonna do is you're gonna they're both pistols, they're both blaster pistols, so you're gonna roll your specialty, which is stupid. But what you're gonna do is for the first roll you're gonna lower it by 1 die. And then for the second shot you're gonna lower it by 2 die. And roll it that way for the multi shot action.
Okay. So I just. All right.
Yeah,
so
just
the
manually
sleeve gun-
manually shoot, lower your skill.
Yeah, I just did.
Yeah.
Okay, so sleeve gun.
Booyakasha. Yeah. And now for the actual gun. 33.
33.
Jesus. Oh,
Is that the first heroic of the night?
that is the first heroic of the night. So you can choose to get a force point or a character point.
No, I'm gonna get another force point. Double that dice pool?
All right.
Well, what?
Remember, you're capped at 5, so.
Yeah, I'm at 3 right now.
Oh, okay. I apologize.
I'll take more if you want.
No. You're fine with where you're at. Roll damage for both.
All right, so the sleeve gun is 6 damage because that one was only 3 damage on it,
Yeah.
and then the blaster pistol's 10 damage.
Yeah. But that doesn't get the benefit of the armor because you shot them up close in the little sleeve that exists between the helmet and the armor.
Yeah, I figured they're right there. It's not a hard aim
Yeah.
shot to do.
A 1 on the wall die to that guy. A pobre.
Oof! Oof! Oh!
But the other guy rolled good. So the one that has his rifle in his right hand is suddenly kind of like looks down as your hand comes up, and in that same motion the sleeve gun kind of slides out, just comes to that natural curvature of your awaiting fingers, and then there's just a soft click of the blaster going off, and it's thundered. It's kind of shadowed by the heavier sound of the actual blaster pistol that comes up almost Wyatt Earp style, and in the same kind of motion just hits the 2 shots hit the same area on 2 different people, and whereas the sleeve gun, you can hear the guy start to kind of choke on the blood that's coming up out of his wound, you see him collapse to one side. His hands now kind of coming up to try to and dislodge his helmet. The other guy kind of stumbles back, and you see him his hand shoots down and starts to fumble for his rifle. He's trying. He's got a heavy blaster burn on his throat, but he's trying, and he can't say anything because it hurts. But he's trying to grab his rifle. The other two who were dragging Marcuun drop him, and you see them turn their attention to you. And this is what you see. One of the things that you thought you'd never get to see until Marcuun told you who he really was. And he grabs one of the boot knives from one guy's leg, draws upward in such a way that he goes up the leg through the armor kind of straps. And as he comes up in that same motion, you see him kind of keep the knife dug into the guy's thigh, flip his grip around, pull and twist, and then go right into the groin of the second guy. And you see both guys kind of collapse on either side of him. This other guy, let me see, he manages to get his gun up and aiming at you. Would you like to dodge?
Yeah, I don't want to just take it.
Okay, so you're gonna lower your dodge by 2 dice since you've taken 2 actions this round. But go ahead and let's have you roll your modified.
I got a 13.
Okay, 13. Oh, the one on the wild dice saved you.
Woo, I'll take it.
The shot goes wide, and you just see it hit the duraglass of the window. A new round comes up. You can see Marcuun grab the second guy's knife now, and he stabs the first guy in the groin as he's kind of holding his bleeding leg.
He's just stabbing everybody.
Yeah. And you see him start to kind of climb up their body, one stab at a time. But between you and this guy, you go first.
I kind of, when I dodge, I just smirk at him. I'm like, it's never wise to miss. And I take the shot.
Roll.
Watch I miss now. A 40.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think I can. Yeah. Bro, this wild die is getting put away. The third one in a row. That can go fuck itself. Roll damage.
12.
12 is not terrible.
Well, it's 4 damage the dice, so.
Yeah. 8 is a difference of 4. So he collapses. He falls back. His hand slides away from him. His gun slides away from him. And you see him kind of like struggling to crawl towards it. And as he makes contact with it, there's a sudden scream that comes out from underneath his helmet as Marcuun has turned around and stabbed through his hand into his rifle. But then he takes a second knife.
I'm friends with that guy.
He takes a second knife and he just kind of like jams it underneath the helmet. And there's a little gurgle, and then there's nothing. And you see Marcuun kind of wince and hold the side where he got stabbed. And he's like, I don't like the look of what just happened.
I walk over to him and I grab him. I go, "You're right. I should have taken him out with the first shots." And I pick him up and I'm like, "By the way, You absolutely have my blessing now.
But he looks down as you're holding him, and he's just like, I'm. I. I know there's few ways to take down a man quickly, but I'm sorry for that display. I'm gonna need you to be my legs for a bit. We need to get out of here, though. It's not safe here.
Yeah, I grabbed one of the blaster rifles that wasn't stabbed through,
Yeah.
and I hand it to him, and I'm like, "You still have one good hand," and I hand him that, and I grab him from underneath.
He's like, shoot, I got two good hands. And he does take one of the knives, and he kind of holds it. He holds it so that he's got it twisted and kind of lying flat against the palm and kind of forearm of his hand that's holding his wound. And then he holds the rifle in his free hand, kind of over your shoulder.
And I retract the gun
Yeah.
before I go, like as I walk over there.
Yeah.
And I'll start walking him out. I pop my head out, like...
Yeah. There are no guards outside, but you can see that there's no lights, so you don't know if there's any guards kind of hidden in the darkness or not. You can only assume.
I grab one of the helmets and I put it on.
Well, this is gonna sound rude to you, but
Okay.
they don't fit your big head.
Okay, it makes sense.
Yeah, they're made for humans.
Oh, okay. So neither of us
Yeah.
will work.
Yeah.
Okay.
And like he tries it, and his head is too wide, so he has the opposite problem.
Right. Okay.
But yeah, if you try to put on the helmet, it is a comical vision of just like it sitting so that the chin guard kind of is right at the bridge of your nose.
All right. I'm like, well, this isn't gonna be pretty, and I start walking him.
Yep. Sure enough, as you start making your way out, every so often you'll hear blaster fire from a corridor, and then you just hear the sound of feet kind of rushing away from you. And as this is happening, we go back to the starport with the Mune and BD 0808.
I already forgot how the voice goes. Roger.
Yep.
So, I made it deeper. That's what I did.
Oh, you made it deeper?
I think I went a little deeper with it. I think so. I don't know. This is the episode to figure it out.
Sure.
Roger. So, yes, I'm Jedi. Do you happen to know where my friends are?
He looks at one of the other kind of twins of himself, and one of them pulls out a data pad that shows the group kind of walking towards one of the hospitals, and you see that they're in the company of Marcuun, and he looks like he's been wounded. Is this who you are looking for?
Yes. I have 2 follow-up questions, and then we can see how we proceed.
Sure.
The first one being... Shit, just had it in my head. God damn it.
But you see that between him and the boy, they're drawing up the logistics of the contract.
The first one being, can you promise me that there is no malintent behind understanding my species and how we function, and this is not for some nefarious deeds?
Of course, this is not for nefarious deed. We are bankers. We are not in the business of doing shadow organization things.
So I'm gonna do a check on that.
Sure.
Okay, investigation.
Yeah.
10.
Yeah. You feel like he's telling you the truth.
What is it? It's character points, add 2 to it?
No, the character points add dice to the roll. So you can choose to roll up to 2 extra character points on any given roll that is an Ahsoka roll to try and improve.
I'm doing 1.
Okay.
So now it's 13?
13, same thing. You feel like there is a bit of unease given the fact that he has all of these lookalikes with no real explanation.
Mm-hmm.
But it also could be that he's just really keen on kind of protection and the angle at which he would go to kind of protect himself. So you almost imagine that this would be the same thing that he would extend to protecting you and your people, maybe? What is your second question?
I do not know my way around Bespin. Can you bring me to this hospital?
Yes, of course. It would be a pleasure to escort Jedi.
I can begin my story while we walk.
Excellent. And he walks you through what he's doing with the documentation, and he's kind of like, you see him being.
All right, I got bureaucracy. I'm triple checking this.
All right, go ahead and roll your bureaucracy.
I don't want to be in any. Hold on, we're gonna do another character points roll. Awesome, 8 total. I don't want to be in any legal loopholes.
Right. You haven't been in the room when contracts are drawn up. You've only ever had to like study them once they've actually like been designed and kind of sent off.
Mm-hmm.
So being on this front of it, like as the tile work is kind of being put down, it's a little bit of a runaround. Like you're not sure if he's going back and forth and if he's kind of like looping around the same point a couple of times, but there's a lot of lawyer doublespeak in the contract, and you see him kind of showing, and it's not you kind of second guessing him. It's just that every time that he does something, he kind of has to explain it to the boy that's with him. And so that kind of like takes some of the mystique out of it, but it also kind of like drags out the whole situation.
No, I'm fine with that. If anything, I want to be learning what the boy's learning.
But yeah, you see that the kid never asks any questions, and he just meticulously kind of sits there and takes notes on everything he's being taught.
Poor kid. He's about to get so screwed with me asking all these questions.
Yeah.
So tell me more about this triple clause that is in effect right here.
He's like, oh yes, that is to protect the parties of the second interest, which are the associates that I do business with that are privy to my information, but that have their own kind of non-disclosure agreements about all the work that has to be done. And then you see him kind of go off into a whole situation where he has to add all of them and how they can be all referred to as like the corporation entity that they exist under, which you find out is called the Bridge. And you also find out, given that,
I find his name.
yeah, you find out that his name is the Honorable Platon Valgshigas.
And that will be spelled later.
Yeah. But I did tell somebody that one of my favorite games is saying an NPC name and then seeing the attempts to spell it the way I spelled it.
Can you also, where in the contract does it address how you came across this Trade Federation battle droid?
Oh, that can be added in if you so desire. It was just going to be considered item in the closure of the agreement known as item A.
Mm-hmm.
But I can put in the whole situation of how this came to be into my possession.
I would actually very much enjoy understanding where this body came from and everything that is involved in it and what makes it tick.
Yeah, you see the same guy with the data pad kind of comes over and shows you an image of what looks to be a kind of museum. And you can see that there's a display case of what is 6 of these droids. And you can see that they're all kind of in different positions to show how they were used defensively. And it looks like the space in between the body that is currently where you are residing is for a shield generator.
Okay.
They can protect themselves and whoever their mark is.
But they had to rip those guts out to put me in.
Yeah.
Okay.
So somewhere there's a personal shield generator.
Where is the shield generator that came with this droid?
It is dismantled, unfortunately.
That is a shame.
For now. And as you finish telling your story to him, and he kind of adds that situation as a kind of verbal clause to the contract, you arrive at the hospital. And as you get there, you can see that there's a handful of Republic kind of SWAT vans, like the repulsor lift, kind of heavy duty assault sleds that you would use when you're trying to assault a kind of hostage situation in a war zone, or when you're trying to overtake a very dug in kind of cell. And you can see that there is a small group of about 4 Republic troopers, all who look to be in like this like they've just put on their kind of SWAT armor. And you see the Marcuun in charge, the one that's kind of like in the center of this circle of 6, who is the one that's doing all the talking to the boy. He motions over and he's just like, "Oh yes, this is Major Grandal Raimes. Allow me to introduce you, since you are a Jedi. He could use your help in this situation." And he motions for him to walk over.
I beg your pardon, can you repeat that name to me one more time?
He's like, "Marshal," he's like, Major Raimes, please, if I could borrow you for 5 seconds. I have Jedi with me. And
I'm dead.
there's an almost, like if you hadn't been told about Major Raimes, you wouldn't have noticed it. But the second that this Mune yells out that you're a Jedi, there's a hesitation in his step. But for everybody else, they just don't see it. But you see that he comes over with the 3 men that are at his beck and call, and he bows to you. A Jedi. Well, how fortunate for us then. It has been some time since Bespin has been graced by a Jedi's presence.
It has actually been a few hours since I arrived on Bespin.
Oh, excellent. I was not aware that the Jedi Academy had sent a Jedi. You'll forgive me, Master Jedi. I'm not familiar with your species. I'm not assuming...
It is of no concern to you.
I'm assuming you're not the droid. What, that you are using the droid in some way, shape, or form?
This is a correct assumption.
Excellent. I tell you, as much as I try to keep up with the Jedi, they are always pushing the boundaries and the envelope for as far as powers are concerned.
What seems to be the issue here at the hospital, Major Raimes?
There is a terrorist cell that has assaulted some of my people, as we have brought in a dangerous criminal, and they are trying to reclaim him. And
What is the name of the terrorist organization, Major Raimes?
One of the other men comes over and is like, "Sir, we're ready." He's like, "Give the order, please." And as he says that, you hear an announcement. "Ladies and gentlemen, the medical campus is now on lockdown." I repeat, the medical campus is now on lockdown.
Okay, now I see. Okay.
And after a few moments, he nods again, and you see the entire campus just goes dark. And he's like,
Infrared vision.
yeah, you see all of the SWAT vans open up, and what is reminiscent of just the shadow, what's called the Shadowed Hand order of troopers. You see what maybe is like 36 of them just kind of rush out and into the hospital fields. As they do, the major's like, "Open the canopy. I'd like to get some aerial support in." And as he says that, you can see this large iris start to open over the hospital, and you can see a couple of cloud cars start to come down with more troopers kind of dangling by ropes. And he looks over at you and is like, "Can I trust you to have my back, Master Jedi? I'd like to go in with my squadron personally. These ruffians have been giving us a hard time, and it's about time that they've felt the boot of the Republic on their neck."
"And me, Blaster, and I will follow you in for further information and questioning."
It's like, oh. I was unaware that there were Jedi amongst you who actually favored a blaster. A rifle, please, if you will." And you see somebody come over with a blaster rifle, and they hand it to you.
Cool, now I have a weapon.
Yeah, just like John McClane. Now I have a gun.
Okay.
What are you gonna do?
He hasn't answered my question as to who the terrorists are.
He has not.
He is not. Someone's being tricky. I don't have my comms anymore, do I?
Nope. You sure don't.
No. But they I should have picked the things off my Eedee body while I had the chance.
Man. Retrospect.
Don't give me that face, like we're going back to the ship eventually if none of us die. It's gonna be great. I'm about to get shot by Silas again.
Yeah. Because he doesn't know. And as you walk in with the major and the other 3 troopers that are with him, we go back to the dark cell where where Flid and this nameless transient, for lack of a better name, is kind of you're both lying down. I can only assume that at some point Flid would have started crying.
No, he's crying.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah. And you notice that once you do start crying, like the trooper stops. And he's just like, it's no fun when you start to cry.
Start whimpering.
Yeah. Kind of spits on you and he walks out.
Oh man.
You just hear the other guy, hold on to your name. It's the first thing they'll take from you. I don't remember my name. I don't remember how long they took it from me.
Grew. And I start repeating my name.
I think I had a wife. I think I had a little girl. I don't remember my name. And you just hear him just whispering, what's my name? What's my girl's name? What's my name?
No, I don't know my name. He's Flid. It grew, and I just keep repeating my name.
Yep.
Between the whimpers, tears, the pain.
You don't know how long it is until another guard comes over and he drops some food next to the other one, and he comes over to you and he's like, the lieutenant would like to speak to you. And he struggles to get you back up into a sitting position, and you can feel the tension in your elbows, the tension in your wrists, the tension in your knees and your ankles start to release. They're still there, they're just soft now, and you can feel like they all trace back to a kind of leash. And he starts to drag you out of the room, and a heavy sound of metal on metal as a door closes kind of shocks you for a little bit. There's a little bit of a jump, a startle, and you notice that you're barefoot. The coldness of the steel floor out here is different. You can see now that you're in the open light that they've torn your pockets apart. Your data pad is missing. And they drag you into a room. And they sit you on a table and they tie off the ropes to a metal clamp in the center of this table. And you can see that you have slack, so you can get up if you want to. You can kind of hobble around, but it's not a lot.
With my arms?
You can, but if you move your arms too far, then it'll start to constrict your legs, and vice versa.
Start to move best as possible and stretch out a little bit.
Okay.
Feel my chest and where I got beaten with the stick.
It stings.
Baton.
It hurts. And as you're checking yourself over, you see a woman come in of a species you've never seen before. And there's a protocol droid.
I still have my comm.
Huh?
I still have my comm.
If you excuse me, if you reach up to your ear to feel for it, it is gone. But you see that her skin color is a kind of iridescent blue that shifts into purple towards the extremities. She's got ridges along her forehead that kind of elongated back into her, what would be a hairline. She does have hair. It's tied back into a very tight and clean kind of ponytail. Some of the ridges kind of curve outward like horns almost, but they're really tiny. The eyes are just a kind of crimson, like a blood red, no white to them. Her teeth are not all fanged, but the majority are. It's just the front 4 on the top and like the front 6 on the bottom that aren't fanged. This is definitely a carnivore of some kind. She
wants to eat.
Yeah, she is lithe, but curvy. There's a sensuality as she walks into the room, and there's a scent about her that really kind of entices you. There's a moment where you have to remind yourself that you're married to kind of drive away the thoughts that start to pervade your mind. And there's a smile as she kind of half expected you to kind of shake your head to wash away these illicit thoughts that are kind of invading you. And you hear her say something in a language you don't recognize, and then the droid steps forward. It has come to her attention that you are Flid Grilled of the Neverwhere. Is this true?
Bow my head, shrug my shoulders.
She says something else, and after a moment, after she's done, the droid kind of turns to you. It has also come to her attention that your Lasat crew member has recently been killed. Where is your captain?
Just continue looking down. And do I see? I thoroughly as possible, I look around the room, still looking down.
Yeah, you can see that there is a table off to the side that has all your stuff. There's a few of your snacks still remain. There's the knife. There's the bent kind of disc that Dr. Shakti had. The satchel of theirs is there too. It's like they gathered the stuff that both of you had.
My data pad there?
Yeah. She says something and you recognize the name Vale. And the droid chimes in. Mr. Grilled, again, please, where can we find Captain Vale? Do you know?
Open my mouth like I'm gonna say something. Let out a sigh. I'm hungry.
You see she motions to the table and the droid walks over, grabs a snack and brings it back to you, puts it on your hand.
See my comm? Our comms on the table as well?
Give me a perception check. Let's see.
It bright, this room, brightly lit?
Yeah.
Okay, never mind then.
11. You see it. You see it sitting next to your data pad.
far is this table from me? Can I like walk over there?
You're assuming that if you weren't tied up, you would have easily have made it over there, but the amount of slack that they gave you kind of lets you get about halfway from the table to the side, to that side of the room. You hear her say something, and again the droid's like, "You have to understand, Mr. Flid, that we are not monsters. We are here to help you. But you have to help us."
Just keep eating little by little, slowly, like you know, stuff in my face.
You see that she goes over to your data pad, and she comes back, she places it on the table, and you can see that it's a picture of your wife and your kids, and she kind of points to them. She says something, and the droid, still about less than 3 feet away from you, just looks at you. "It has come to her attention that you have family, Mr. Grilt. It would be a shame if something were to happen to them."
Had.
She tilts her head at you.
I let out some teardrops.
She grabs the data pad and takes it back over to the table. And as she's over there, she says something, and then she walks out of the room. The droid kind of looks after her and then looks back at you. "She has extended her deepest condolences to you, Mr. Flid. She was not aware. We will have some food and water brought in to you. We hope that changes your disposition." And the droid walks out. Back in the hospital, Marcuun and Silas get to a point when you've exited the building that you're in. You can see that there's a couple of cloud cars that are off in the clearing, and he kind of looks up at you. He's like, "I haven't piloted anything in a while, but that two-seater right there looks like it could get us to my ship. You any good with a stick?"
Would that be a repulsor lift, Will, or no?
No, that would be a starfighter piloting.
Yeah, no. Unfortunately, I'm not really an expert in the driving. I'm usually the one doing the shooting.
I understand. Necessity breeds knowledge, however, so if you're willing to learn, you can sit in the second one, in the second pod, since that's the gunner seat. And I'll just fight through the pain and take us to back to my ship where the port is.
Are you trying to leave?
I mean, would you rather stay, Mr. Winchester?
Obviously not, but there's still the issue of my Jedi friend and Flid and the good doctor and Gardef, wherever he is.
He's like, I understand, but this place is no longer safe, and I use the term very loosely. I think a reconvening is in order.
I just wanted to be clear you weren't talking about getting on that ship and getting off Despard.
No. I'd be surprised if that old girl can even have a drive on backup.
Okay.
She needs
I-
dust knocked off of her, I think.
Well, I do share your sentiment. I think it would behoove us to get out of this area.
Excellent. And as you start rushing over to the cloud car, you see a group of what looks to be 4 humans. Just kind of like barking orders. One of them is barking orders, and he has this Trade Federation battle droid just armed with this wicked looking rifle. And it's just kind of like constantly scanning the surroundings. And you just hear Marcuun is like, "Oh hell, that's the Major. When did he get a bodyguard?"
I look over. I'm like,
Yeah. Major Grandal Raimes is an older human. He's got gray kind of lightning bolts of hair that shoot out from his temple that have invaded his kind of once brown mop of hair. It is well kept, clean cut, and kind of like held back. No facial hair to speak of, kind of thin, very aggressive looking eyebrows that are perched on top of like these very cold brown eyes, angled features, and just this kind of Liam Neeson type body. It's not frumpy, but it's also kind of had years of desk work behind it. But it hasn't taken anything away from his lethality. The 3 guys that are with him kind of look like different ideas in his mind that have been brought to life. So one of them is kind of like scraggly, thin, haggard looking beard and hair, and always kind of kneeling and looking at the ground and kind of like a tracker would. There's another one that kind of has just a mustache, same kind of slicked back hair, but he has just this kind of smaller framed body, and his rifle is almost the same size as he is. Like, it's very clear that this is a sniper. And then you got the one guy who's kind of in the same frumpy position, the same kind of condition, about a 5 o'clock shadow, kind of a little bit of a tousled top of hair, but you also notice that he has 2 blasters, one on either hip, and he always has, that you can see he's kept his one hand on top of the gun on the right hip, and kind of putting all of his weight on his left, which is kind of what you do when you're in that position where you want to be ready to kind of step and fire at the same time. Give yourself that kind of stability in motion as you were taught. But as you're walking, kind of like trying to stealthily make your way over to this cloud car, he's like, "Yeah, that's the Major. Those are the 3 knuckleheads that he keeps with him at all times, and that's new. That I've never seen before." And he's kind of pointing at the droid. If he's in cahoots with the Trade Federation, things are about to get a lot worse in Bespin.
I can't imagine it getting worse than where it's at right now.
But sure enough, as you kind of climb up into the 2 pods, there's a moment where the actual pilots of the cloud car kind of turn around and see you initiating the motors and whatnot, and they immediately get on their comms unit, and you see the Major kind of turn his attention towards your cloud car. He points, and to you, Brandon.
Yeah.
There's a moment where you see the Major kind of look down and bring his hand to his ear. And he's like, "Oh, that's where he is. All right, bring it down. And you see him point. And he's like, that cloud car is grounded. Whatever you can do, Master Jedi, I recommend you do it now.
Oh wait, I can just. I'm gonna turn off the ignition.
Okay, make a roll.
Yeah, I can do that.
You sure can.
21.
Oh, man. Sure enough, as Marcuun kind of gives a rude gesture to these pilots, and the cloud car starts to take off with a heavy, heavy kind of push, there's a moment where you just hear everything kind of go haywire for a moment, and then everything shuts down. And the cloud car just comes down with a heavy crunch on its legs, and you can see that his side of the cloud car has kind of dangled down to the point where you know that landing gear is destroyed. And you see the Major, the three knuckleheads that are always with him, and this droid kind of walking towards you. As you step forward and the cockpit of this cloud car kind of opens, and you see this Mon Cal that you recognize as Marcuun come up out of the pilot seat. He's holding his side where it is now starting to bleed again. And as the second cockpit opens, you can see Silas Winchester also with his hands up. And this
Silas
is where we will
mother.
pick up the next episode.
I knew it.
I'd like to thank everybody for joining us this evening. As always, please wash your hands, keep your distance, wear your masks, and take care of each other. And as always, things have been rough this last year, and we can see the silver lining in the distance coming up. So please, 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 if you need anyone to talk to, don't be afraid to reach out to friends or family. If you are friends and family of somebody who is usually a strong character, please reach out to them. A simple hi goes a long way. And if you feel like you have no one that you can reach out to, there's no shame in finding professional help, as mental health is really important, especially in this day and age. And so please remember that mental health should be on the same page as physical health. So as always, I will see you on Monday for our vampire game, where we are introducing the last member of the Anarch team. I will see you on Wednesday for our Legend of the Five Rings game, and if not, I will see you next week for wherever this picks up with our Star Wars game. Have a good night, everybody.